Welcome back, everyone. We've been on this incredible deep dive together, exploring the power of the subconscious mind through the book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And uh, since we've made it through 10 chapters of this fascinating book, it's time to like tie it all together.
It really has been a fascinating exploration. The book unveils this hidden force within us, this force that shapes our reality, and we're often not even aware of it.
So, like, first things first, the subconscious mind. I was so struck by how it operates on these like universal principles, much like you see with the laws of chemistry or physics.
That's what I found so interesting is just like if you combine hydrogen and oxygen in just the right way, you get water.
hmm
Our beliefs and thoughts, when impressed upon the subconscious, shape our reality. It operates with predictable results, just like a scientific law.
It's almost like we have this internal laboratory inside of us where our thoughts and beliefs are the ingredients. And then the subconscious mind is, like the master chemist, creating our experiences based on those ingredients.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the book actually shares a really powerful example of a woman who manifested her dream honeymoon in Europe just by consistently affirming her desired outcome.
I love that story. It shows the power of like consistent affirmations. What dream could you bring into your life if you use that technique?
It's a powerful reminder that we are not just passive observers. We have the power to actively shape our reality by consciously choosing the thoughts we feed our subconscious minds.
Speaking of influencing the subconscious, the book really emphasized the power of suggestion, both from ourselves and others.
Absolutely. And, our existing beliefs can make us more or less susceptible to these suggestions. Do you remember the story of the timid ship passenger? He succumbs to seasickness because somebody suggested he looked ill.
Yeah.
And then contrast that with the sailor who laughs off the same suggestion because he's so self-confident.
Yeah, it's like our pre-existing beliefs, they create this filter, and then that's how we interpret and respond to suggestions. And unfortunately, sometimes those beliefs, they can have really dire consequences. Like in that case of the man in India who died after the fortune teller told him about his bad heart.
This case, as extreme as it is, really shows how deeply the subconscious mind can be influenced, especially when those suggestions are really believed with conviction. What limiting beliefs are you holding on to that could be impacting your well-being? Are you open to challenging those beliefs and maybe embracing some new ones that are more empowering?
It's a powerful question for all of us to think about. Now, shifting gears a bit, the book goes into this fascinating realm of healing and the role that the subconscious plays. That story of Dr. James Esdale, the surgeon who performed major surgeries with only mental anesthesia back in the 19th century, that blew me away.
Yeah. It's a testament to the incredible power of the mind to influence these physical processes. And we also see this in that example of the woman who regained her sight at the Lord's shrine. And it wasn't necessarily because of the water, it was because of her faith and her expectation that a miracle would happen.
And then that man who was cured of tuberculosis.
Mm.
It was all thanks to that story his son made up about a healing ring. It makes you think, like, how much of healing is actually the placebo effect, the power of belief?
Whether the object of faith is real or just imagined, the subconscious responds to the belief. It all boils down to a single universal healing principle at work here. Even more intriguing is that they did experiments where hypnotic suggestions induced physical symptoms in the subjects. The subconscious mind has absolute control over bodily functions. Just imagine the possibilities if we could actually consciously tap into that power.
It's like mind-blowing. So we've seen how the subconscious, it shapes our reality, influences our health. It can even be harnessed for healing. But what about problem solving? The book presents the subconscious as our own like internal problem solver.
That's where things get really interesting. Think of your subconscious mind as a worker, constantly seeking solutions to problems, even when you're not consciously aware of it.
So that's why they say to sleep on it.
Yeah.
Makes it seem a lot more profound, doesn't it? While we're sleeping, our subconscious mind, it just keeps working away, sifting through information, providing solutions. This reminds me of when I lost my heirloom ring, and I remember asking my subconscious mind for help right before I fell asleep. And then when I woke up, I just knew where to find it.
And did you find it?
I did. It was
What?
exactly where my subconscious told me it would be. It's like a reminder to trust your intuition, you know, tap into that inner guidance system we all have.
It also highlights how important sleep is for our subconscious mind to process information and to come up with solutions. Modern research has shown that when we're sleep deprived, it doesn't just affect our memory and perception, it actually impacts our mental health too.
So we need to get enough sleep. And it's not just about feeling rested. It's about allowing our subconscious mind to do its work. And speaking of subconscious guidance, I was really intrigued by the story about that young woman who got guidance through a dream. It told her to reject a job offer. And then later on, she found out that the company was failing.
That just shows how the subconscious can actually see beyond, surface appearances. It's like having your own internal compass that can help you navigate life's choices and challenges.
So if we can use this power for healing, problem solving, and even getting guidance, what about happiness and our relationships? Can the subconscious play a role in those areas too?
Absolutely. The book really emphasizes aligning our conscious and subconscious minds to achieve happiness and harmony in life. True and lasting happiness, according to the book, comes from realizing the power we have inside to overcome any challenge and solve any problem.
It's about really owning that inner strength, knowing that we are capable of creating our own happiness.
And the key to getting that happiness is aligning our thoughts and feelings with these universal principles of divine order and right action. True happiness isn't about what's going on outside of us, it's an internal state of being.
So it's about changing how we see things,
Yeah.
focusing on cultivating inner peace and harmony. The book also talked about positive thinking and how it can help us attract abundance.
Yeah, it addresses negative emotions like envy and encourages us to genuinely be happy for other people's prosperity. When you wish others well, it actually attracts greater abundance to yourself. That's the law of attraction in action.
And I just love the story about that salesman who overcame his career stagnation by changing his negative thoughts about his boss. He was able to change his reality, and he ended up getting a promotion, all because he consciously cultivated positive affirmations and mental imagery.
It's a perfect example of how our thoughts create our reality. And when it comes to relationships, the book highlights the true meaning of love in harmonious human relationships. It's all about understanding, respecting, and appreciating the divinity in others.
We're all connected, expressions of the same life force. This reminds me of that inspiring story of the actor who transformed his hatred for audiences into love and respect. It changed everything for him.
His story really illustrates how love has the power to transform negativity into success, and not just in our personal lives, but in our careers and how we interact with the world.
Okay, so we've covered so much. We've talked about how the subconscious can be used for healing, problem solving, guidance, and even creating happiness and positive relationships. But there's one more really crucial aspect we need to discuss: forgiveness.
Ah, yes, forgiveness. It's essential for emotional well-being. The book talks about how holding on to resentment and unforgiveness creates these emotional blockages in the subconscious mind, and that leads to negative consequences.
It's almost like we're holding ourselves prisoner.
Mm.
All those negative emotions prevent us from feeling true peace and freedom.
Exactly. Forgiveness is about aligning our thoughts with the divine law of harmony, letting go of the past, and choosing to live peacefully.
I was so touched by the story of the former criminal who transformed his life by finding peace through forgiveness. It shows the power of letting go of the past and embracing a fresh start.
It's a powerful message of hope and redemption. No matter what we've done or what we've been through, we can heal and move forward. And, it's not just about forgiving others, right? The book really emphasizes the importance of forgiving yourself, too. Holding on to all that guilt and self-blame, it can be just as damaging as holding on to resentment toward others.
So true forgiveness is this multifaceted thing. It needs compassion and understanding for both ourselves and others. But how do we actually put forgiveness into practice? Does the book offer any practical steps?
It does. It starts with understanding that forgiveness, it's a conscious choice, a decision to release those negative emotions we've been holding on to, and then you have to choose to view the whole situation and the people involved through a lens of compassion.
It's like realizing that we all mess up sometimes. And holding on to anger, it just hurts us more than anyone else. But what about when someone's actions have really caused a lot of pain? How do we find compassion for them then?
That's where trying to understand the other person's point of view is so important. The book suggests that a lot of times people who hurt others are actually hurting themselves. Their actions might come from their own unresolved pain or trauma or, maybe negative beliefs.
So it's about seeing that shared humanity that connects us all. Acknowledging that we all slip up sometimes and we all have our own struggles. We all need forgiveness sometimes.
Exactly. By shifting away from judgment and moving towards understanding and empathy, it just makes it so much easier to let go of that anger and resentment. It doesn't mean we have to condone their actions or forget what happened, but we can choose to let go of that negative emotional charge.
This reminds me of that idea from the book about not taking things personally.
Yeah.
It argues that we're only truly hurt by criticism or negativity when we allow it to affect us.
Absolutely. We get to decide how we think and how we react. We don't have to be victims of other people's
We
negativity.
have our own power. We're responsible for our own emotional well-being. It's like forgiveness is about choosing love instead of resentment and giving ourselves permission to heal.
That's exactly it. And this whole discussion about forgiveness, it brings us right back to that power of the subconscious mind, doesn't it? When we choose thoughts and beliefs that line up with love, compassion, and forgiveness, it creates a ripple effect that goes out into our relationships and our experiences.
So forgiveness is not just something personal. It's like this powerful energy that can create a more harmonious world.
Precisely. And that takes us to another important part of personal growth, breaking free from negative habits and embracing positive change.
Oh, yeah, those annoying habits. They can be so hard to shake. But the book says we can actually choose our habits. We don't have to be stuck with our subconscious programming.
You got it. Habits, they're basically functions of the subconscious mind formed through repetition. They turn into automatic responses. But we can form good habits just as easily as we can form bad ones.
It's about intentionally choosing those thoughts and actions that we want to nurture and repeating them until they become a part of our subconscious.
Think of it like making new paths in your brain. The more you use those new paths, the stronger and more automatic they get.
Remember that story about that businessman who had convinced himself he was jinxed? He thought clients would always back out at the last minute. And guess what? That's exactly what kept happening to him.
It's the perfect example of how our beliefs can become self-fulfilling prophecies. But the good news is we have the power to change them. This businessman, he realized he was causing his own jinx with his negative thinking.
So he decided to change his mindset. He started focusing on positive outcomes and affirming his ability to close deals.
And his jinx just vanished. His business really took off. It's a really powerful example of how we can reprogram our subconscious mind and create new, empowering beliefs that actually support our success.
The book doesn't just talk about external success, right?
Yeah.
It also tackles breaking free from those negative habits that affect our internal state, like addiction.
Right. It goes into the root cause of alcoholism and explains that it actually stems from negative thought patterns. It's like our thoughts literally shape our reality.
So if you're struggling with addiction, the first step is to address those negative thought patterns and start cultivating more positive, empowering beliefs.
That's the key. The book outlines a 3-step process for getting over addiction. It starts by calming your mind and really impressing your subconscious with positive affirmations about being sober.
So it's about swapping out those self-defeating thoughts with beliefs that encourage healing and change. Thoughts like, I'm strong, I'm capable, and I deserve a healthy and fulfilling life.
Exactly. The book highlights how important repetition and consistency are. The more you repeat those affirmations, the deeper they sink into your subconscious. Eventually, they'll replace those old negative beliefs.
This conversation about habits really shows how important it is to own our thoughts and actions. We have the power to choose what we focus on, what we believe in, and how we behave.
We're not stuck with our circumstances or our past. We can create the life we want by making conscious choices about our thoughts and beliefs.
It's so empowering.
Yeah.
And it leads us to another really strong emotion that can often hold us back from living to our fullest.
Fear. Fear. It's completely natural, but it can really hold us back when we let it take over.
The book reminds us that we're only born with 2 innate fears, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. All the other fears we have, we learn them through experiences and conditioning.
And that means we can unlearn them. We can reprogram our subconscious mind and create a life filled with more courage and freedom.
Do you remember that story about the student who was terrified of public speaking? He was able to conquer his stage fright through affirmations and visualizations.
He would repeat affirmations about his confidence and visualize himself speaking calmly in front of everyone. And as he kept practicing, his fear started to melt away, and he was finally able to give his speech with no problem.
It's amazing how those mental techniques can actually rewire our brains and change how we react emotionally.
They really can. And the book has a bunch of techniques for overcoming fear, like affirmations, visualizations, breathing exercises, and even mindfulness practices.
It also talks about the importance of figuring out the root of our fears, because a lot of times they're rooted in irrational beliefs or past experiences that just don't apply to our lives anymore.
Once you figure out where your fear is coming from, you can start to challenge those limiting beliefs and replace them with ones that are more empowering. That example of the medical student, the brilliant one who kept failing his exams because he was so anxious and scared of failing, really stuck with me.
He had all the smarts to succeed, but his fear kept tripping him up. It's like he was sending his subconscious all these negative messages, telling himself he was going to fail.
Exactly. But once he started to reframe his beliefs, affirmed his own intelligence, and visualized himself passing his exams with flying colors, his performance did a complete 180. He was finally able to unlock his true potential.
That reminds me of the book's Master Technique for Beating Fear.
Yeah.
Visualizing yourself successfully, doing whatever it is you're afraid of, really feeling it in your imagination.
It's such a powerful technique. You're basically creating a new positive experience in your subconscious mind and replacing that old fear-based one. And if you keep practicing that visualization, the fear will shrink and you'll start to feel way more confident.
It's like you're teaching your brain to react differently to the thing that scares you. It reminds me of that funny story about the executive who was scared to death of elevators.
Oh yeah, the one who would bless the elevator.
He'd rather walk up 5 flights of stairs every day than ride in that elevator. But then he realized how irrational his fear was and decided to try affirmations to reprogram his subconscious.
He would bless the elevator every night, affirming its safety and dependability. He imagined himself riding it calmly, and little by little, his fear started to disappear.
It sounds kind of crazy, but it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Even the fears that seem totally irrational, we can overcome them with positive thinking and visualization.
It shows how important it is to face our fears head-on and not let them run the show. We can choose courage over fear. But remember, getting over fear doesn't mean you become totally fearless. It's about learning how to handle those fears so they don't freeze us in our tracks.
Fear can be good in some ways. It warns us about danger and keeps us safe. But when it gets out of control, it can hold us back.
Exactly. Like that story about the general manager who was constantly worried about losing his job. He was so wrapped up in that fear that he ended up actually making it happen.
He kept picturing himself getting fired, and his anxiety started messing with his work. He began to make mistakes, which is what ultimately got him fired.
Classic example of how our thoughts create our reality. When we dwell on what we fear, we can actually draw it to us. That's why it's so crucial to choose our thoughts carefully and focus on what we want to bring into our lives. And that brings us to something else that people often fear, getting older.
You know, it's funny you should mention that. So many people are scared of aging. They see it as a time when you start going downhill and losing things. But the book offers a totally different perspective, right?
It does. It encourages us to think of life as this ongoing journey of growth and change. And aging isn't an ending, it's like a new beginning. Our minds and spirits, they don't get old.
So instead of being scared of aging, we can actually welcome it as a chance to keep growing.
Exactly. Remember the story of that retired executive? He saw his retirement as a promotion, a brand new and exciting chapter in his life. His age didn't define him. He was all about the possibilities that were still ahead of him.
His story really flips those stereotypical ideas about aging on their head. It's all about how young you feel. It's about your mindset, and if you're willing to embrace life with enthusiasm.
Exactly. We can choose to see aging as this time of decline, or as a time of wisdom, growth, and fresh starts.
The book makes it crystal clear that we have the power to create the reality we want, no matter how old we are. It's about challenging those limiting beliefs about getting older and embracing all the amazing opportunities that come with each new stage of life.
We can focus on what we've lost, or we can choose to focus on what we've gained. Wisdom, experience, a deeper understanding, and appreciation for life.
I love that, changing our focus from what we're leaving behind to what's coming next. It reminds me of another great point the book makes. Life is constantly renewing itself. It's this ever-changing process of growth and change.
Yes. So it doesn't matter how old we are, we're always capable of new adventures, new things to learn, and new growth. You're never too old to dream new dreams or go on exciting adventures.
It's about going on this journey of life with wonder and curiosity, and trusting that no matter what comes our way, we have the inner strength to handle it.
And knowing you're not alone on this journey, we're all connected, part of something much bigger than ourselves. We're guided and supported by a universal intelligence that's always looking out for our best interests.
That's a beautiful thought. Even though we might face hard times, we're never truly lost or alone. We always have the power to choose love, forgiveness, and growth.
And we always have the potential to create a life that's bursting with joy, meaning, and purpose. This exploration of the power of your subconscious mind has been so enriching and inspiring.
It really has. It's incredible how much wisdom and practical advice this book gives us.
It's been a pleasure talking about these ideas with you. But before we move on, I want to leave you with a question to think about.
I was hoping you would. I always love your thought-provoking questions.
Since life is always renewing itself, what dreams are you ready to wake up to in this new chapter of your life?
Wow, that's deep. It really makes you think about the exciting possibilities waiting for us. It really challenges us to look inside and ask, What do we really want? What makes us happy? What kind of mark do we want to leave on the world?
It's like this invitation to really step into our full potential, to embrace what we don't know and trust the journey that unfolds, the one that's uniquely ours.
And it reminds us that we never get too old to dream new dreams, to set new goals, to go on new adventures.
Life is constantly growing and changing. There's always something new waiting to be discovered, something new to learn, and something new to create.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the power of your subconscious mind, let's remember that the power to create the life we want is inside each and every one of us.
We can choose our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions. We can heal our bodies. We can find solutions to our problems. And we can cultivate happiness in relationships that make our hearts sing.
We have the power to face our fears, to age gracefully, and to live a life that truly reflects our deepest values and dreams.
And it all starts with awareness. When we understand just how powerful our subconscious mind is, we can start to guide our thoughts and beliefs in a way that helps us feel good and helps us make our dreams a reality.
It's been incredible exploring the wisdom and practical advice this book offers.
It really has. And remember, this is just the beginning. Your journey is just starting. The possibilities are endless.
Keep exploring the amazing world of your subconscious mind. And until next time, keep those dreams alive.